All right, we're here with Matt Katzer from Kamind.
Good, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, Kamind IT, we're a Microsoft certified partner. We're one of the 235 managed partners in the United States. We're also one of the 52 partners that sell the GCC high licenses for AOSG, which gives us opportunities because we're really in two markets, the commercial 365 market and also the Department of Defense market.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your 2022 results that got you in the semifinals of Better Your Best.
It's a very interesting journey we started because we started with security. We always been involved in security from my days when I actually was working at Intel. And what we ended up doing, and we started a program back in 2019, where we actually said, okay, how do we actually develop a set of security products for the market? And how do we actually, at the same time, cultivate the relationship with Microsoft? Now, with this is where Robin Robbins comes in, because there's a lot of things that we've actually learned over the years, and it comes back with I think the first experience I had with Kevin O'Leary when we actually on the hot seat was talking about the numbers and business growth and everything else that you actually have. And so I got this whole feeling that it's all about fundamentals. You have to put the structures in place. You got to get the right people in place.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. So we're looking at the pieces that we grow and how we grew the two different markets that we actually had. And so we're doing right now commercial 365 and we're doing Department of Defense. So we basically can leverage both markets depending what the economy is.
Yeah. So what kind of financial results did you see from doing that in 2022?
Well, in 2022, we basically added a couple things. We increased our gross profit from 2021 to 2022, roughly about $400K in gross profit over that 12-month period. We had added over just shy of about $1 million, $1,100,000, $1.1 million in terms of gross revenue. We increased our MRR by about, with the clients that we lost, the clients we gained, we had a net gain of $64,000 a month in terms of MRR. And it's also, we restructured our internal team based on a lot of discussions from Paul Sissel, and also looking at, in terms of Greg Crabtree, how we should actually organize our internal structure. And that kind of gave us the model that we have right now.
That's a pretty substantial, a lot of people would like to have $400,000 profit on almost $1 million, or just over $1 million in revenue. Where do you get that? Where does that profit number come from, you think?
The profit numbers come from a couple things. One is it's about the fundamentals. And so when you started looking at the Greg Crabtree and talking to Paul Sissel, for instance, and it's not like we're interested in what's our exit plan, and we're all going to exit one day, but it's about the fundamentals. It's about what you need to do. And what Greg Crabtree did, there's a concept called direct labor efficiency ratio. And that means about how much, what is the amount of labor that you should have for the revenue that the service team is doing, in essence, is what so we have a metric now that we can actually look at what the revenue comes in, how many people we have, are we burning out the team, or are we not burning out the team? And that was one piece. The second piece, in terms of one of the events that we had with Robin, we started talking about how do you do organizations, how do you actually handle some of the internal issues, how do you actually make sure people don't get burnout? So we started developing those type of methods in it and segmented the organization so that we have people that are focused in different skill areas. Yeah. And they basically don't have to learn everything, because that's what happens, you burn things out.
So, people are watching this and wow, I'd love to see those numbers in my business, right? I'd love to either get off to a good start, or I'd love to have a breakthrough with their business. But they're struggling with implementation. They're struggling with finding the time to do these things. They're so busy running the business, they don't, think they have time for understanding direct labor efficiency ratios, things like that. How did you find the time? How did you make the time? How did you overcome the obstacles that a lot of people face when it comes to implementing this kind of stuff? Well,
it really comes down to, in order to grow the business, you have to have numbers that you can understand and make decisions. And that was one piece, and that's really a critical piece. And that allowed us, once we started putting the numbers in place and saying, okay, what does the low margin products, how much labor we're putting into them, how do we restructure the organization, and how do we actually price things? That's what that gave us. So it wasn't the amount of time that it was taking, it was trying to go through and hire an expert like get in Greg Crabtree, go use their programs and leverage them to teach you. And for us, it's a process. It didn't happen overnight. We started with Greg Crabtree. I'd say that was probably in 2020, and we started doing 21 until we got the financials picked up. We also did that as part of the process. We also have an external bookkeeper. We don't do books ourselves. And so suddenly you have independent people looking at it and make it easy to do it. And you change your process around it.
Yeah.
It's actually simple. It's like, as you go through some of the speakers Robin brought to, you do incremental changes, you do incremental adjustments. It's like, do you get up in the morning at 6 o'clock or do you get up at 5:45?
Yeah.
That 15 minutes, what you do over time, that's how you make change.
It starts to add up.
And that's what we accomplished in terms of using the, that's really the key thing, the growth, is just incremental changes.
So last question, any advice for people watching this who are, they're either just getting started in their business or they're trying to have a breakthrough. They want to get some of the results that you were getting. Any last piece of advice for people out there watching this?
Yeah, there is a piece of advice I'd give everyone. You look at the financials, the bases, but also you need to look at your business and say that, okay, what drives your business? What is the flywheel to drive your business? And go look at Amazon. And what we've done is we looked at Amazon. If you go through and there's different folks that talk about business process and change, but we go to Amazon, people go to Amazon because it's a shopping cart. The shopping cart kind of makes things turn and grow. That's the flywheel of the organization. Yeah. And so what we did for our business, we identified the flywheel. For us, it's selling licenses. And that's our entry that we get. It's a low margin business, true, but it's an easy, low labor business as well. And that allows us to sell MSP services, MSSP services, and go deep in the client and build the client relationship. And that's really the secret. Incremental changes and look for understanding the business.
I love it. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, pleasure. Thank you.